Captain Jake Morrison looked out the window of his ship. In front of him were 3 huge alien ships. They were coming closer to Earth. The alien ships looked strange and dark. Jake had never seen anything like them before. The aliens inside those ships were called Zephyrians. They had long blue-gray bodies and big black eyes. When they talked, they made clicking sounds with their mouths. They thought humans were stupid and weak. Jake walked to the main room of his ship. Admiral Lisa Grant was there. She was reading papers on a screen. She looked angry and worried. "What do the aliens want?" Jake asked. "They want to sell us old warships," Lisa said. "They say we need protection from bad aliens in space." Jake looked at the papers. The price was very high. The aliens wanted all of Earth's special crystals. These crystals were very rare and valuable. Earth had worked for many years to collect them. "The price is too much," Jake said. "I know," Lisa replied, "but we need ships. Other aliens in space are dangerous. Without ships, they might attack Earth." The Zephyrian leader came to Earth in a small ship. His name was Ambassador Crixtall. He was tall and thin. His skin was blue-gray like metal. When he smiled, Jake could see his sharp teeth. "Greetings, humans," Crixtall said. His voice sounded like metal scraping metal. "We bring you great ships. These ships will protect your world." Admiral Grant met with Crixtall in a big room. Many human officers were there too. Chief Engineer Carlos Rivera was one of them. He knew a lot about ships and machines. "Show us these ships," Admiral Grant said. The aliens brought pictures of 12 old ships. The ships looked very bad. Their metal sides were brown with rust. Many parts were broken or missing. The ships looked like garbage floating in space. Carlos looked at the pictures carefully. "These ships are very old," he said. "They look damaged. I don't think they can fight anymore." Crixtall made his clicking laugh sound. "These ships served our people for many years. They are still strong. Your people can learn to use them." Dr. Amanda Clark was also in the meeting. She studied alien machines and technology. She looked at the ship pictures with special tools. "The metal is strange," she said quietly to Admiral Grant. "I have never seen this type before." Admiral Grant asked many questions about the ships. How old were they? What weapons did they have? How fast could they fly? Crixtall answered some questions but not others. "These details are not important," he said. "The ships are good. That is all you need to know." The meeting went on for hours. The humans talked among themselves. They knew the aliens were not telling them everything. But Earth needed ships badly. 2 months ago, Earth had learned about other aliens in space. Some were friendly, but many were not. The bad aliens liked to attack weak worlds. They would take people as slaves or destroy cities for fun. "Without ships, we are helpless," Admiral Grant told her officers. "Other aliens see us as easy targets." Carlos still did not like the deal. "The ships look like junk," he said. "We are paying too much for garbage." But Dr. Clark had found something interesting. She used her special tools to study the ship pictures more. The metal was not normal rust. It had patterns that looked almost like writing. "There is something strange about these ships," she told Admiral Grant privately. "The damage might not be real damage." Admiral Grant had to make a hard choice. The price was very high. The ships looked terrible. But Earth needed protection. She looked at all her officers. "What do you think we should do?" "Buy the ships," said Jake. "We can try to fix them." "It's a bad deal," said Carlos. "But we have no choice." Dr. Clark nodded. "I want to study these ships. They might surprise us." The next day, Admiral Grant met with Crixtall again. "We will buy your ships," she said. Crixtall's eyes got bright. He was very happy but tried to hide it. "You make a wise choice, humans. These ships will serve you well. The trade happened quickly. Earth gave the aliens all their special crystals. The aliens gave Earth the 12 old ships. Human crews went to get the ships and bring them back to Earth. When the human crews first saw the ships up close, they were shocked. The ships were even worse than in the pictures. Rust covered everything, holes went through some walls, many rooms were dark and cold. "This is junk," said one crew member. "These ships will never fly again." But they took the ships anyway. Slowly, they brought all 12 ships back to Earth. The ships barely had enough power to move. Krixtal and his people left Earth quickly after the trade. As their ships flew away, the Zephyrians laughed among themselves. "Those stupid humans," Krixtal said to his officers. "They gave us treasure for garbage. They will never make those old ships work." The Zephyrians thought they had played a great trick on humanity. They had sold worthless junk for valuable crystals. Soon they would tell other aliens about the foolish humans who could be easily cheated. Back on Earth, the 12 old ships sat in space docks. They looked sad and broken. Many humans wondered if they had made a terrible mistake, but Dr. Clark was excited. She wanted to study the ships closely. She had a feeling these ships held secrets. The strange metal, the unusual patterns, the way some systems still had power after so many years. "There is more to these ships than meets the eye," she told her team. "We need to learn everything about them." Admiral Grant stood looking at the ships through a big window. They looked like dead metal floating in space, but they were all Earth had now. "I hope we made the right choice," she said quietly. Jake Morrison was already planning. "We'll make these ships work," he said. "Whatever it takes, we'll make them work." None of them knew they had just bought the most powerful warships ever built. 3 months passed after Earth bought the old ships. Commander Ryan Phillips was in charge of fixing them. He had many smart people working with him. They worked day and night trying to make the ships run again. Ryan stood inside the first ship. Humans had named it the UES Defiance. The ship was huge inside but very dark. Most lights did not work. The air smelled old and metallic. "This ship is like a puzzle," Ryan told his team. "We need to figure out how all the pieces fit together." Lieutenant Sophie Baker worked on the ship's computers. She was very good with computer systems, but these alien computers were different from anything she had seen before. "The computer is still alive," Sophie told Ryan. "It has been sleeping, but it's not dead." She found old files in the computer's memory. Most were in alien writing that humans could not read, but some had pictures and numbers that made sense. "Look at this," Sophie said, showing Ryan her screen. "These look like weapon designs, but the weapons are much bigger than anything I have ever seen." Dr. Amanda Clark came aboard the ship every day. She studied the metal walls and strange machines. She brought special tools to measure everything. "The rust is fake," she told Ryan one day. "It's not real rust at all." "What do you mean?" Ryan asked. "Look at this," Amanda said. She touched the wall with a special tool. The brown rust-colored coating moved like liquid. Under it, the real metal was silver and perfect. "The ship is hiding," Amanda said. It made itself look old and broken. Engineer Pete Harrison worked in the ship's power room. The power systems were very strange. They used energy in ways that human science did not understand. Pete found instruction files in the computer. They were in alien language, but he could understand the diagrams. He followed the instructions carefully. When he pushed the right buttons in the right order, amazing things happened. Lights came on all over the ship. Machines started humming. The whole ship felt alive. "Ryan, come quick," Pete called on his radio. "You need to see this." Ryan ran to the power room. The room was now bright with blue and white lights. Energy flowed through clear tubes in the walls. Numbers and symbols appeared on screens everywhere. "How much power is this ship making?" Ryan asked. Pete looked at his instruments. His eyes got very wide. "More than our biggest power plant on Earth? Much more." Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Torres worked in her office on Earth. She was very good at learning alien languages. She had been studying the writing found in the ship computers. Helen had made an important discovery. The writing was very old. It was not Zephyrian writing at all. It belonged to a different race of aliens. She called Admiral Grant right away. "Admiral, you need to come see this immediately." Admiral Grant came to Helen's office. Helen showed her what she had learned. "These ships did not belong to the Zephyrians," Helen said. "They belonged to aliens called architects. The architects disappeared from space over 1,000 years ago." "Why is that important?" Admiral Grant asked. "Because the architects were the greatest shipbuilders who ever lived," Helen explained. "Their ships were legendary. Other aliens, still tell stories about architect ships. Helen showed Admiral Grant old stories she had found in human databases. The stories came from many different alien races. They all talked about architect ships with fear and respect. Architect ships could think, Helen read from one story. They learned and grew stronger in every battle. No enemy could defeat them. But these ships look so old and broken, Admiral Grant said. That might be on purpose, Helen replied. What if the ships are hiding their true power? Back on the UES Defiance, more amazing discoveries were being made. Sophie had found the ship's mainbrain computer. It was much more advanced than anything humans had built. The computer is trying to talk to me, Sophie told Ryan. It's learning our language. Words in English started appearing on the computer screens. At first, they were simple words like hello and human. Then the messages got longer. This ship has been waiting, appeared on one screen. Waiting for new crew. Waiting for new purpose. Ryan felt excited and scared at the same time. The ship was alive in ways he did not understand. Dr. Clark made another discovery in the ship's armor. The metal was not just one type of metal. It was made of millions of tiny machines all working together. The armor can change, she explained to the team. It can become harder or softer. It can even fix itself if it gets damaged. Pete found weapon systems hidden throughout the ship. They were much more powerful than the Zephyrians had told them. But most amazing of all, the weapons were not finished. They could grow and change. It's like the ship builds new weapons based on what it needs, Pete said. I have never seen anything like this. The other 11 ships were also being studied. Each ship was different, but all had the same amazing abilities. They could think, learn, and change themselves. Commander Lisa Santos worked on the ship they called UES Storm. Her ship seemed to be the fastest. Its engines were designed in ways that human science could barely understand. Captain Tony Wright studied the UES Guardian. This ship had the strongest armor and shields. Its defensive systems could probably protect an entire planet. Each ship had its own personality. Some were aggressive and wanted to fight. Others were careful and protective. The UES Defiance seemed to be a leader among them. Dr. Clark brought all her findings to Admiral Grant. These are not just ships, she said. These are the greatest war machines ever built, and the Zephyrians sold them to us like they were junk. Why would they do that? Admiral Grant asked. Because they don't know what they had, Dr. Clark replied. The ships were hiding. They made themselves look worthless to fool everyone. Admiral Grant realized what this meant. Earth now owned 12 of the most powerful ships in the galaxy, ships that could think and fight better than anything else in space. We need to be very careful, she told her officers. If other aliens learn what we have, they will try to take these ships away from us. The ships continued to wake up and grow, stronger every day. Their computers learned more about humans. Their weapons became more powerful. Their armor grew thicker and smarter. Sophie established communication with all 12 ships. They talked to each other in ways humans could not understand. They shared information and memories instantly. They're becoming a fleet, Sophie reported. Not just 12 separate ships, but one unified fighting force. Ryan Phillips stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance. The bridge was now bright and clean. Screens showed space around Earth in perfect detail. The ship felt alive around him. You need to test these ships, he told Admiral Grant. We need to see what they can really do. But before they could plan any tests, an emergency message came from the outer colonies. Pirates were attacking human settlements. They needed help immediately. Admiral, Grant made a quick decision. Take the Defiance, she told Ryan. See what that ship can do in a real fight. Ryan nodded. He was excited and nervous. They were about to discover just how powerful their new ships really were. The Zephyrians had thought they were cheating humanity. Instead, they had given humans the greatest gift in the galaxy, ships that could make Earth the strongest power in space. But first, humanity had to learn to use that power. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance. 6 months had passed since Earth bought the old alien ships. Now the Defiance looked completely different. Its walls were clean and bright. Screens showed clear pictures of space. The ship hummed with power. Jake looked at his crew. Lieutenant Sophie Baker sat at the computer station. Engineer Pete Harrison watched the power systems. Dr. Amanda Clark studied her instruments. They were Earth's best people, chosen to crew humanity's first restored alien ship. "All systems are ready, Captain," Sophie reported. "The ship wants to fly." Jake smiled. Over the months, they had learned that the ship had feelings and thoughts. It was excited to finally leave Earth and explore space. "Take us out," Jake ordered. The Defiance moved smoothly away from Earth. Its engines made no sound, but Jake could feel the ship's power. They were moving faster than any human ship had ever moved. Their mission was simple: test the ship's systems. See how fast it could go. Check if the weapons worked. It should have been a quiet trip through empty space. Then the emergency call came in. "All ships, this is New Texas Colony," a voice said over the radio. The voice sounded scared and desperate. "We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. 6 alien warships. They are taking our people. Please help us." Jake looked at his crew. New Texas was a small human settlement on the edge of explored space. It had farms and mines, but no weapons to defend itself. "How long to reach New Texas?" Jake asked. Sophie checked her computers. 3 hours at normal speed." "What about full speed?" "The ship says it can get there in 30 minutes, Sophie replied, looking surprised. Jake made his choice quickly. "Set course for New Texas, maximum speed." The Defiance jumped forward. Space rushed past them so fast that stars became lines of light. Jake had never traveled this fast before, but the ship felt steady and safe around them. "Captain, I'm getting information about the attackers," Sophie said. "They're Korthak raiders, 6 heavy warships." Jake knew about the Korthaks. They were big, mean aliens who attacked weak colonies. They took people as slaves and stole everything valuable they could find. "1 ship against 6, Pete said nervously. "Those are not good odds. This isn't just any ship," Dr. Clark said. She was studying her readings of the Defiance. "This ship is different from anything we've ever seen." The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace near New Texas. Immediately they could see the battle. 6 large dark ships surrounded the small colony. Fires burned on the planet's surface. Smaller ships were carrying captured humans up to the Korthak vessels. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth ship Defiance," Jake said over the radio to the Korthaks. "Release the prisoners and leave the system immediately." The response was laughter. Harsh, cruel, alien laughter. "1 little human ship," the Korthak leader said. "How amusing. Leave now, or we will add your crew to our slaves." Jake felt anger rise inside him. These aliens thought humans were weak and helpless. It was time to show them how wrong they were. "Battle stations," Jake ordered. The Defiance changed around them. Lights dimmed to a soft red. Weapon systems came online. Armor plating grew thicker. The ship was preparing for war. 6 ships are turning toward us, Sophie reported. "They're charging weapons." The Korthak ships were huge and covered with weapons. Each one was twice the size of the Defiance. Their hulls were black metal with red markings that looked like blood. "They're firing," Sophie shouted. Dozens of energy beams and missiles flew toward the Defiance. It looked like enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The human crew held on tight, expecting their ship to be torn apart. But something amazing happened instead. The Defiance's armor began to glow with golden light. As each enemy weapon hit the ship, the glow got brighter. The armor absorbed the energy and grew stronger. "Incredible," Dr. Clark whispered, watching her instruments. "The ship is learning from each hit. The armor is adapting." "Hull damage?" Jake asked. "None, Captain," Pete reported, amazement in his voice. "0 damage. The ship is completely undamaged." The Korthak leader sounded confused and angry. "Impossible. Fire again. All weapons." The second attack was even bigger than the first. Every Korthak ship fired at once. Space lit up with deadly energy, but the Defiance just absorbed it all. The golden glow around the ship became so bright it hurt to look at. "Now it's our turn," Jake said. "Target the lead ship. Fire when ready." Sophie's hands moved over her controls. But she found something strange. "Captain, I'm not aiming the weapons. The ship is doing it automatically." On the screens, they could see targeting systems they had never seen before. The ship was analyzing every enemy vessel, finding weak points in their armor, predicting where they would move next. "The ship knows how to fight," Dr. Clark said. "It has memories of thousands of battles." "Fire," Jake ordered. The Defiance unleashed weapons that humanity had never imagined. Beams of pure energy that twisted through space like living things. Projectiles that seemed to phase in and out of reality. And something the computer called void lances that tore holes in space itself. The lead Korthak ship simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Nothing remained, not even debris. The other Korthak ships stopped firing. Their crews were screaming in fear and confusion. "What was that weapon?" One Korthak captain shouted over the radio. "What are you?" Jake felt the ship's excitement. It was happy to be fighting again after sleeping for so long. It wanted to show these raiders what real power looked like. Two more Korthak ships tried to run away. The Defiance caught them easily. Its weapons reached across impossible distances and destroyed both ships in seconds. The remaining three Korthak vessels surrendered immediately. "Please don't kill us," their leader begged. "We will leave. We will never come back. Release all prisoners first," Jake commanded. The Korthaks quickly sent their captured humans back to the colony. Then their ships fled into hyperspace as fast as they could move. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew stared at him with wide eyes. They had just won an impossible battle. One ship had defeated 6 enemy warships without taking any damage. "Sophie, send a message to Earth Command," Jake said. "Tell them the test was successful." But even as he spoke, Jake knew this was much more than a successful test. Word of this battle would spread across the galaxy. Other aliens would learn that humans now had powerful ships. Dr. Clark was studying the battle recordings. "Captain, look at this," she said. The ship held back. It could have destroyed all 6 enemy ships in the first few seconds. "It held back? Why?" "I think it was being careful," she replied. "It didn't want to scare us by showing too much power at once." That thought made Jake nervous and excited at the same time. If the ship had held back, how powerful was it really? On the colony below, grateful humans cheered and cried with joy. They had been saved by one of their own ships. Earth was no longer helpless. But across the galaxy, other aliens heard about the battle. The Zephyrians received the news with growing horror. They had sold the human ships that could destroy entire fleets. "This is impossible," Ambassador Krikstal said when he heard the report. "Those ships were dead hulks. They had no power." But the evidence was clear. One human ship had easily defeated 6 Korthak raiders. The humans now possessed weapons beyond anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Emergency meetings were called throughout alien space. Leaders of different species tried to understand what had happened. How had the weak humans suddenly become so powerful? Some aliens suggested making peace with humanity immediately. Others talked about forming alliances to destroy Earth before the humans became too strong. Meanwhile, the Defiance flew home to Earth. Jake and his crew were quiet during the journey. They were trying to understand what they had experienced. "We're not just ship crew anymore," Sophie said. "We're the crew of something special, something that could change everything." Dr. Clark nodded. "These ships are more than weapons. They're the legacy of the greatest civilization that ever existed, and now they're ours." When Earth came into view, they could see the other 11 ships waiting for them. Each ship was also fully restored now. Each one was ready for battle. Jake realized that humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in the strongest way possible. They were no longer a small, weak species that others could ignore or bully. The age of human power in space had begun, but Jake also knew this was just the beginning. Other aliens would challenge them. Bigger battles were coming, and humanity would need all 12 of their amazing ships to survive what came next. News of the battle at New Texas spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In every alien city and space station, beings talked about the impossible victory. One human ship had destroyed an entire Korthak raiding fleet. Nobody could believe it. On The Zephyrian homeworld Ambassador Crixtall stood before a council of his people's leaders. The tall blue-gray aliens were angry and afraid. They clicked their teeth and made harsh sounds with their throats. "You said those ships were worthless," the High Chancellor screamed at Crixtall. "You said they were broken hulks that would never fly again." "They were," Crixtall protested. "Our best engineers examined them. The ships had no power. Their armor was rusted. Their weapons were dead. But the evidence was clear. Video recordings from the battle showed human ship using weapons that bent space and time. The Zephyrians had never seen technology so advanced. Those were architect ships," one old Zephyrian whispered. "We sold them architect ships." The room went quiet. Every Zephyrian knew the old stories about the architects. They were the legendary race that had built impossible machines before disappearing from the galaxy. "Impossible," Crixtall said. "Architect. Ships were destroyed long ago. These were just old Zephyrian vessels." But deep in his heart, Crixtall knew the truth. They had made a terrible mistake. They had given humanity the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. Meanwhile, on Earth, all 12 ships were now fully awake and ready. Each ship had developed its own personality and special abilities. Admiral Lisa Grant visited each vessel to see what they could do. The UES Storm, commanded by Captain Maria Santos, had become incredibly fast. It could move through space faster than anything else in the galaxy. Its engines bent reality around the ship to achieve impossible speeds. "We can be anywhere in the galaxy in minutes," Maria reported to Admiral Grant. "The ship doesn't just move fast, it moves outside normal space." The UES Guardian, under Captain Tony Wright, had developed the strongest defenses ever seen. Its shields could protect not just the ship but anything nearby. Its armor could deflect planet-killing weapons. "The ship wants to protect things," Tony explained. "It gets happy when it's keeping others safe." Each of the 12 ships was unique, but they all shared information instantly. When one ship learned something new, all the others learned it too. They were becoming more than just individual vessels. They were becoming a unified fleet mind. Dr. Amanda Clark spent her time studying how the ships worked together. She discovered they communicated using quantum fields that human science barely understood. "They think together," she told Admiral Grant. 12 ships, but one intelligence guiding them all. Dr. Helen Torres had translated more of the ancient architect records found in the ship computers. What she learned was both exciting and terrifying. The architects didn't just build ships, she reported. They built ships that could evolve, ships that became more powerful with each battle, ships that could adapt to any threat. "How powerful can they become?" Admiral Grant asked. "According to these records, there is no limit," Helen replied. "The ships keep growing stronger forever." This news worried some human leaders. If the ships kept getting more powerful, would they eventually become too strong for humans to control? But Admiral Grant decided they would deal with that problem later. Right now, humanity needed protection. The galaxy was changing rapidly. Species that had ignored humanity before were now sending diplomatic messages to Earth. They wanted to make friends with the humans who had such powerful ships. But other aliens were forming alliances against humanity. They feared that humans would become too strong and conquer the galaxy. The leader of this anti-human alliance was the hegemony of Keth. The Kethians were large reptilian beings who ruled over dozens of smaller alien species. They had been the strongest military power in the galaxy for centuries. General Vextar, the supreme commander of Kethian forces, called together representatives from many alien species. They met on a heavily defended space station near the galaxy's center. "The humans must be stopped," Vextar declared to the assembled aliens. "They have weapons they cannot control. They will destroy us all if we let them grow stronger." Many species agreed. The Gornaki brought their massive battle cruisers. The Skrell offered their stealth ships. The Mordani contributed their planet-killer weapons. Soon, over 200 warships from dozens of species gathered for one purpose: destroy humanity's fleet. On Earth, the ships detected the growing alien alliance. Their sensors could see across vast distances, watching enemy fleets gather. "They're planning to attack us," Captain Jake Morrison reported from the bridge of the UES Defiance. More than 200 ships. Admiral Grant called all her ship captains. together for a meeting. The 12 captains gathered in Earth's main command center. Each one now had a deep bond with their architect ship. "Can we win against so many enemies?" Admiral Grant asked. "The ships say yes," replied Captain Santos from the Storm. "They're not worried about numbers." "These ships have fought bigger battles before," added Captain Wright from the Guardian. "They remember wars against thousands of enemy vessels." Dr. Clark had been studying the ship's combat records. The ancient files showed battles beyond human imagination. Architect fleets fighting against entire galactic empires and winning. "Our ships are designed for this," she told the meeting. "They were built to face impossible odds and survive." But Admiral Grant was still concerned. "We've only tested one ship in combat. We don't know how they'll work together as a fleet." "We know," said Jake Morrison. "The ships have been teaching us. They show us battle formations and tactics in our dreams." This was true. All 12 captains had been having the same strange dreams. In their sleep, they saw ancient battles and learned combat techniques no human military had ever imagined. The ships were preparing their crews for the greatest battle in galactic history. Meanwhile, the alien alliance was nearly ready. General Vextar looked at his assembled fleet with satisfaction. Ships from dozens of species filled space around the command station. He had enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. "The humans have 12 ships," he told his commanders. "We have over 200. This will not be a battle, it will be an execution." The Kethian general sent one final message to Earth. It was an ultimatum demanding humanity's surrender. "Give us your ships," the message said. "Your species is too primitive to possess such weapons. Surrender now and we will allow Earth to exist as our protectorate. Refuse, and we will destroy your entire world." Admiral Grant read the message to her captains. None of them looked worried or afraid. "What do we tell them?" she asked. "No," said all 12 captains at the same time. The word came from deep inside them. It was their own choice, but it was also the choice of their ships. The architect vessels would never surrender to species they considered inferior. Admiral Grant smiled. She had been hoping they would say that. "Then we fight," she declared. "All ships, prepare for battle." The 12 ships of humanity's fleet moved away from Earth and took formation in empty space. Each vessel glowed with power that seemed to bend light around them. They had evolved far beyond what the Zephyrians had sold to humanity. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, which had become the fleet flagship. Around him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. They trusted their ship completely. "Enemy fleet is approaching," Sophie Baker reported. 237 vessels. "They'll reach us in 6 hours." "Good," Jake said. "That gives the ships time to prepare." In space around the human fleet, reality began to change. The ships were modifying space itself, creating fields of energy that would enhance their weapons and protect them from enemy fire. Dr. Clark watched the preparations with amazement. "They're not just preparing to fight," she said. "They're preparing to win." The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. On one side, an alliance of hundreds of ships from dozens of species. On the other, 12 human vessels carrying the legacy of the greatest warriors who ever lived. The aliens thought numbers would give them victory. They were about to learn that sometimes quality mattered more than quantity. And the architect ships were the highest quality weapons ever built. The alien fleet approached Earth like a dark cloud covering the stars. 237 warships from dozens of species moved together in perfect formation. General Vextar commanded from his flagship, a massive Kethian dreadnought, bristling with weapons. "Look at them," Vextar said to his officers as they watched the human ships on their screens. 12 tiny vessels against our mighty fleet. This will be the shortest battle in galactic history." The alien ships were impressive. Gornaki battlecruisers as large as cities. Skrell stealth destroyers that seemed to vanish and reappear. Mordani, heavy gunships with weapons designed to crack planets. Each species had brought their most powerful vessels. But facing them in the void near Earth were just 12 human ships. They floated in a tight formation, their hulls gleaming with strange light. To the aliens, they looked impossibly small and weak. Admiral Lisa Grant stood in Earth's command center, watching the approaching enemy fleet. Around her, human officers worked at their stations, monitoring the battle that was about to begin. "All ships report ready," Communications Officer Tim Bradley announced. "The captains are waiting for your orders." Admiral Grant looked at the tactical display. The odds looked hopeless, but she had faith in her ships and crews. "Tell all captains they are free to engage," she said calmly. In space, Captain Jake Morrison received the order aboard the UES Defiance. Around him, his bridge crew prepared for battle. Lieutenant Sophie Baker monitored enemy movements. Engineer Pete Harrison watched their power systems climb to incredible levels. "This is it," Jake said over the fleet communication channel. "Show them what human determination looks like." The alien fleet opened fire first. Hundreds of energy, beams and missiles crossed space toward the human ships. It was enough firepower to destroy a moon. The aliens expected to vaporize the human fleet in the first volley, but something incredible happened instead. The 12 human ships began to move like dancers in a perfectly choreographed show. They spun and twisted through space, avoiding most of the enemy fire completely. The few shots that did hit simply disappeared into the ship's adaptive armor. "Impossible," General Vextar roared. "How are they moving like that?" Dr. Amanda Clark, monitoring the battle from Earth, watched in amazement as the ships demonstrated abilities beyond anything they had shown before. "They're not just dodging," she said to Admiral Grant. "They're calculating the exact position of every enemy shot before it's fired." The human ships had learned to read their enemy's intentions through quantum field analysis. They could predict enemy actions seconds before they happened. Now it was humanity's turn to attack. The UES Storm, commanded by Captain Maria Santos, vanished from normal space and reappeared behind the enemy formation. Its weapons fired strange projectiles that passed through multiple enemy ships before exploding inside their hulls. 3 alien warships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The UES Guardian, under Captain Tony Wright, projected massive shield barriers that protected Earth from enemy fire, while reflecting attack energy back at the aliens. Cathian missiles turned around and destroyed the ships that had fired them. But it was the UES Defiance that showed the most devastating power. Jake Morrison watched as his ship's weapon systems activated technologies that human science couldn't explain. "Void lances charging," Sophie reported, her voice filled with awe. The main weapon fired a beam of pure nothingness. Where it touched enemy ships, they simply ceased to exist, not destroyed or vaporized. They just stopped being real. The lead Cathian dreadnought, General Vexitar's own flagship, was hit by the Void Lance. The massive ship folded in on itself and vanished, taking the alien general with it. Panic spread through the enemy fleet. Their mighty commander was gone in an instant. "All ships retreat," screamed a Gornaki captain. "These aren't normal weapons." But the human ships weren't finished. They moved through the alien formation like ghosts, their weapons finding weak points that shouldn't have existed. Enemy ships exploded or simply disappeared as the architect technology demonstrated its true power. Captain Lisa Santos in the UES Storm had become one with her ship's incredible speed. She attacked enemy vessels faster than they could track, destroying dozens of ships in minutes. Captain Tony Wright used the Guardian's defensive systems offensively, creating shield walls that crushed enemy ships between them like insects. The other 9 human ships each contributed their own unique abilities. The UES Vengeance fired weapons across impossible distances. The UES Phoenix regenerated from any damage and kept fighting. The UES Thunder called down lightning from empty space. In less than an hour, the mighty alien alliance was shattered. Over half their ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors fled in terror, spreading across the galaxy with tales of humanity's incredible power. Dr. Helen Torres, monitoring alien communications from Earth, listened to the panicked messages flying between the retreating ships. "They're calling. Our ship's ghost vessels and reality killers," she reported to Admiral Grant. "Some are saying we've made a deal with cosmic demons." The battle was won, but Admiral Grant knew this was just the beginning. Word would spread across the galaxy that humanity now possessed ultimate military power. Over the following weeks, alien species across the galaxy reacted to humanity's victory. Some sent desperate messages begging for peace treaties. Others offered tribute and trade agreements. Many species simply acknowledged humanity's right to rule and asked to become protectorates. The Zephyrians were among the first to surrender completely. Ambassador Crixtall himself came to Earth, no longer arrogant but humble and terrified. "We beg forgiveness for trying to cheat your people," he said to Admiral Grant. "We didn't know what we were selling. Please don't destroy our worlds." Admiral Grant accepted the Zephyrian surrender but didn't punish them. "You gave us exactly what we needed," she told Crixtall. "In trying to cheat us, you made us the strongest power in the galaxy." The Keithian hegemony collapsed within days. Without their military leadership and with their strongest ships destroyed, the Reptilian Empire fell apart. Dozens of species they had conquered declared independence. But not all aliens accepted humanity's dominance peacefully. Some hidden enemies began planning new attacks using different strategies. They couldn't match human military power, so they would try other methods. Dr. Clark continued studying the architect ships, discovering that they were still evolving and learning. Each battle made them more powerful. Each challenge forced them to develop new abilities. "There's something else," she told Admiral Grant during one of their regular meetings. "The ships are becoming more independent. They make more of their own decisions now." This worried some human leaders. What would happen if the ships decided humans weren't worthy to command them anymore? But the ship captains weren't concerned. Jake Morrison spoke for all of them when he said, "The ships chose us. They want to work with humanity, not rule over us." The relationship between humans and their architect ships had grown into true partnership. The ships provided incredible power, while humans provided purpose and direction. As months passed, humanity's influence spread across the galaxy. Human colonies were established on hundreds of worlds. Human traders brought Earth products to alien markets. Human diplomats negotiated treaties with species that had never spoken to humans before. The galaxy had new rulers, and they were from a small blue world that most aliens had never heard of just 2 years before. Admiral Grant stood in her office, looking out at Earth's orbital shipyards where new vessels were being built using architect technology. The ships were teaching humans how to build their own advanced vessels, though none would ever be as powerful as the original 12. Jake Morrison visited her office regularly to report on his ship's activities. The Defiance had become humanity's flagship, representing Earth in diplomatic meetings across the galaxy. "Any word from the Outer Rim territories?" Admiral Grant asked during one of these meetings. "All quiet," Jake reported. "The Mordani Empire has requested permission to trade with us. The Skrell Collective wants to exchange scientific knowledge. Even the mysterious Vorten are asking for contact." Humanity had achieved something no other species in galactic history, had managed complete dominance through superior technology and careful diplomacy. Dr. Clark made regular reports on the ship's continued evolution. They were becoming more powerful every day, developing abilities that seemed impossible even by architect standards. "I think they're preparing for something," she told Admiral Grant. "Something bigger than anything we've faced so far." "What could be bigger than conquering the galaxy?" Admiral Grant asked. "Maybe defending it," Dr. Clark replied thoughtfully. "The architects built these ships for a reason. Maybe that reason is still out there waiting. But for now, humanity enjoyed peace and prosperity across their new galactic empire. The species that had tried to cheat them with worthless ships had accidentally given them the keys to unlimited power. The irony was not lost on anyone. The Zephyrians had attempted to swindle primitive humans, and instead had created the galaxy's new masters. As Jake Morrison often said to his crew, "Sometimes the best victories come from your enemy's mistakes." And Admiral Grant, looking out at the stars that now belonged to humanity, would smile and agree.